Nurse Cindy O'Brien has tended to Mississippi's sick for nearly 40 years, dedicating her life to caring for the Gulf Coast at Ocean Springs Hospital.
I thought about it all through high school, and my mom was a secretary raising two children, so I didn't think she could afford it. And of course, back then, I didn't know anything about grants and things like that we probably could have gotten. But I went into the military instead and used my GI Bill to go to nursing school.
Even for a seasoned professional like Cindy, the unbelievable strain caused by COVID at points seemed too much to bear.
A lot of people, become very stressed and very tired and exhausted dealing with all this stuff and borderline depressed. And truthfully, I too had a couple times where I was close to saying, I don't want this, I don't need this. There's plenty of jobs out there. I'll go somewhere else.
Nurse shortages have long plagued the U.S. healthcare system, but after a year and a half of seemingly never-ending pandemic, the sector is on its knees. Over 1,200 nurses have lost their lives at the hands of the coronavirus, causing fear and anger among nurses nationwide.
There's kind of a confluence of feelings of being betrayed by the employer, betrayed by the community, and it becomes kind of a vicious cycle. Where things get worse and then more people leave and then they get worse, and that's where we are right now. We're sort of in a pit that we're going to have to dig our way out of.
Just over 40% of Mississippi residents are fully vaccinated, further burdening the state's already exhausted nurses.
When it first hit, it wasn't as bad, but this last wave really hit us big time, and it was so frustrating and it was depressing, facing these enormous numbers of people piling into the ER, and the fact that most of it could have been prevented had they had their vaccination.
Professor Pittman of George Washington University says the bottom line is simple: fewer nurses equals more deaths.
There is a relationship between nurse-to-patient staffing ratios and mortality. So mortality, basically, if there are not enough nurses, people are more likely to die.